Mac. That's hilarious. Okay.
My Mac.
I do that in class now, Jeff. I don't know if you do, but like we're talking about maps today, and I just couldn't help but go maps. Oh man, I was in the store the other day. No lie, I was in the store. I can't remember what it was, something at Starbucks I was ordering, and I said it like almost like half to myself, just like, what am I doing? What's my life coming to?
That's so funny.
Welcome to Predator Minute, the podcast that breaks down the 1987 action, sci-fi, horror, suspense classic Predator 1 minute at a time. I'm John Zabriskie.
And I'm Jeff Glover.
And joining us today, we have Eric Deutsch from Flash Gordon Minute.
Hello. Thanks for having me on, guys. The completed Flash Gordon Minute and the soon-to-be starting Escape from New York Minute.
Yes. We're looking forward to hearing that and contributing in any way we can.
I'm sure we can find time to squeeze you into the 69th Street Bridge or something there. No worries.
Nice.
We as we're recording tonight, we've recorded our pilot episode. By the time this episode airs, we probably won't have posted yet, but soon after this episode airs, our episodes will start posting.
Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah. I love John Carpenter movies, and Escape from New York is probably my favorite after The Thing. It's a masterpiece. Is it your favorite? Is that why you guys chose to do that movie next?
It is my favorite John Carpenter movie. I wouldn't call myself a huge John Carpenter fan per se. I do like a lot of movies. I really like They Live. I really like Big Trouble in Little China. I like The Thing also. But Escape from New York specifically, just I saw this movie when I was a kid, like, I don't know, when I was too young, like 7, 8 years old. I watched this.
Yes.
I loved it even back then. So it's just always been one of those movies that has staying power for me.
Yeah, that's similar story to Predator and for me RoboCop. I saw Predator and RoboCop pretty close together when I was way too young to see, especially RoboCop. Dear God, that movie's so violent.
Yeah,
but yeah, those movies that you see young are transformative and important in your movie loving life for sure.
Mm-hmm. And it's in that John Carpenter, Kurt Russell sweet spot.
Oh,
right.
So good.
Yeah. This was the movie that kind of sort of really really shoved Kurt Russell, started making him into Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to that. But before we're talking Escape from New York any further, we're going to be talking about minute 30 of Predator. Minute 30 opens with Dillon entering Sven's Palapa and ends with Dutch telling Dillon what happened. And it cuts off right there. We'll have to find out what he's finishing to say next minute. But Jeff, if you want to open us up with kind of what's going on here in the beginning of the minute.
Yeah, so we get Dillon running into the Palapa, and I really like how he turns the corner right here, runs in, and immediately throws the paper around that we were talking about last minute, that we were hypothesizing was perhaps the first chapter of the Gorilla's great American novel, which we learn in this minute is not true at all. We're going to find out that these papers are giving him some specific information here. But he rummages through, throws the paper around, and then we get this great grimace and 1,000-yard stare from Dutch over from the corner there.
Yeah, so just even before any kind of action happens here in this minute, right, we're having our eyes on Dillon just coming across apparently what he's been doing this whole mission for, why he brought the team along, why he convinced Arnold to bring the rescue team along. We're finding maybe, okay, is this really about a rescue, Dillon, or is this about something else?
We get a little dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep. It's as he's coming in the door, he doesn't even necessarily see anything yet from the timing. It's just, you just hear Dillon kind of, as he's walking in, saying, "This is goddamn beautiful, goddamn jackpot. This is more than we ever thought we'd get. We got those bastards. We got him." He's talking to himself. He's not talking to anybody else.
Yeah.
He's just, you can tell how excited he is when he's talking to himself.
Dutch is, ooh, you can just feel the anger coming off of him with that stare. Yeah.
He has some idle anger here because in my opinion, his job's done. They've done what Dillon asked them to do so far. So he has some, I called it idle mean mugging. He just kind of staring out the corner of his eye at Dillon, just trying to make heads from tails, like what is going on here.
What do we think? How much do we think Dillon really knew ahead of time? Did he know what he was going to find in this Palapa, or he seems a little surprised? What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't know, because the thing is, he looks at the papers and he seems to imply that the papers are very important,
right?
But he tosses them, like you said. He doesn't even look at them. He hasn't had time. He picks them up and he chucks them, to the side. So and he's like, "Oh, this is beautiful. This is what we need to find." It's like, well, you didn't even look at the papers,
right?
And then I know you were saying that he's not talking to anyone; he's talking to himself about, "Oh, we got the bastards, we got them." But is he not aware that Dutch is in there, though? I took that he was saying that to keep up the illusion, to try to convince Dutch, that this is perfect, this is what we found, and sort of whispering to himself with the hopes that it would keep selling the lie to Dutch.
Interesting.
That's
so what's he really there for, do you think?
Honestly, I don't. I mean, it's always this is one part of the movie, no matter how many times I've seen it over the years, that has always slightly confused me of exactly what Dillon's real agenda was in getting them there. It was always a bit confusing to me that there's the chopper that goes down, there's Hopper's men, and then he brings them in, and I know he starts to kind of explain it a bit later on in this minute, which we haven't gotten to that part of the minute yet, but it's always been a little muddy to me.
No, I'm glad you say that, Eric, because I've watched this movie many, many times in a row, and we've been analyzing it minute by minute, and if I don't know if I could still explain completely what Dillon's motivations are. I mean, we learn in this minute and the next minute quite a few details, so some of it is cleared up, but there's a lot of backstory to this that is never explained.
Yeah, I guess what my takeaway from this is that they just killed however many, 80 something, like 81 bad guys. And I think that was probably the whole mission. It was we just need to wipe these guys out before they bring these AK-47s, rocket launchers, grenades, whatever else across the border from, I'm going to call this Valverde, to the next country.
Yeah, because we'll talk about their conversation here in a moment, but we learn that all these guerrillas were holding weapons, holding information, and were essentially going to be a starting off point for some sort of invasion or insurrection. And it seems like there's Russian ties, of course, because it's the 80s.
Yeah. I have to conclude that you and Eric are saying we're just not given enough information in this movie to draw a strong conclusion about what exactly the mission in Dillon's mind is.
So after we get Dutch's mean mug, he comes over.
He lends a hand.
Very nice. He does lend a hand, and I like in your notes you talk about it was kind of a what did you call it? A sucker. Choking.
Yeah, like a sucker slam. It's not a sucker punch, it's like a sucker slam.
Yeah.
Sucker shove.
Yeah.
Sucker shove.
Yeah, and he comes over and bends down and he says something to him. He says, I think this is what you're looking for.
Yeah, just really casually. Right.
Yeah.
And Dillon is so out of it that he's not thinking, oh, like Dutch is buying into this, or maybe Dillon, like you're saying, Eric, is trying to sell the line so much that he's like, okay, Dutch is buying into it. Dutch is cool. Just play cool. And then he is lifted off the floor and into a wall by Dutch. I
think this is what you're looking for.
You sell
yelling right in his face. And this is some good stuff as we move on to the next section.
Yeah, and so this is when we get their long conversation, and this conversation takes up most of the minute, correct?
Yeah, this conversation takes up the last 41 seconds of the minute. So we're definitely going to give it its due. Do you guys want to do dramatic reading?
Ooh, dramatic line
we
reading.
Love doing this. Yeah, Eric, you want to be in on this?
Sure. Hold on. Let me call up the script here.
All right. I just did all color coding because the shooting script, there are some things here and there that are different.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. Yeah.
Then there's original script, which is a total different story about so much being changed. But
John, do you want to be in on this, or
no? How about you guys? You guys take it.
All right. All right, Eric. Do you want to be Dutch or do you want to be Dillon?
Oh, I gotta be Dutch if I'm.
I like it.
The specific phrase "it's all bullshit" is what I asked John to be on for.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, awesome. Yeah, you have to be Dutch. Okay, I'll do my best, Dillon, if I can.
Dillon!
All right, here we go. You set us up. It's all bullshit. All of it. The cabinet minister, the whole business. You got us in here to do your dirty work.
Look, we just stopped a major invasion. In 3 days, there would have been across the border with this stuff.
Why us?
Because nobody else could have pulled this off. You're pissed about the cover story. I knew I couldn't get you in here without it.
So what story did you tell Hopper?
Look, we've been looking for this place for months. My men were in that chopper when it got hit. Hopper's orders was to go in and get my men, and he disappeared.
He didn't disappear. He was skinned alive.
And my orders were to get somebody in who could crack these bastards.
Crack! So you cooked up a story and dropped the 6 of us in the meat grinder. What happened?
End of minute.
And scene. Wow, that was beautiful.
Eric, well done.
Yeah.
I so rarely get to do my Arnold for anyone other than my wife, so.
My wife.
Oh, my wife. Your "it's all bullshit"
Yes.
was spot on. Well done.
Thank
you.
Okay, so there's some stuff to talk about here. Now, before we really break down the conversation, I noticed, John, you had some stuff about the field manual. Did you want to talk about that first or save that for later?
I'll save this for next minute because that way it'll kind of put a cap on their conversation. So let's move on.
So we find out, and we'll just kind of go through the conversation here. So we find out that Dutch has realized that he was set up, bullshit, and there really was no cabinet minister. They were really brought in just to take out this guerrilla camp.
Right. I suspect that Dutch suspected that the whole time. He's been given looks since the very beginning when they're setting up the mission in the original Palapa, the OG Palapa with the general. Mm-hmm. He's given all sorts of looks and these kind of like innocent queries as he's smoking a cigar, like, so what we got to do, like in the very beginning. And then when they come across the fallen chopper, he's giving Dillon this look and like, does this mean anything to you? And Dillon's obviously covering his tracks and making up something about, oh yeah, rebels, probably another rebel patrol in the area. They're in there all the time, with their U.S. Army boots. And I think Dutch has just had enough of like, yeah, you've been lying and lying and lying, and I've just had enough. I'm going to throw you against the wall, and we're going to finally talk about this man to man.
His anger and frustration really unloads in this scene, and with Dillon. I have to mention, he is so shiny in this scene. Oh, just glistening. It's either really hot or he's really nervous and sweating. But man, he just almost reflects his surroundings off of his face. He is just glistening.
Well, also the thing is, I mean, Arnold picks him up and shoves him with one arm. I mean, he does this move with one hand just to show the severe testosterone-filled manliness of Arnold here. And then they zoom in there, and as he's yelling at him, Carl Weathers does this great thing. He looks down at Arnold's hand, squeezing his shirt. It's almost like Dillon is in disbelief that Dutch did this to him with just one arm.
Right.
Yeah.
He's holding an MP5. He's holding this submachine gun the whole time, too. It's like, I'm going to pick up this arm-trained man and slam against the wall. But yeah, I think he's slamming against, it's probably something soft that he's slamming up against. But still, like, that is Carl Weathers, the actor, being slammed right there. There's no cutaway. There's no stunt work here. It's, Arnold straight up.
Man, we also get a really nice close-up of one of the great 80s action movie mustaches.
Yes.
Oh, it's so perfect.
Yes.
It's like it's glued on his face.
It is good. He has it all going on. He has the look. He has the yelling. He has the calm yelling right here, but he's letting go. Dillon's letting go of his emotions too, not just Dutch. I mean, Dillon is, I think, taking it personally that his men were in the chopper that was blown up by the guerrillas.
My men were in that chopper when it got hit.
Whoever you believe, right? If whether that was on purpose, him sending the CIA people to look out. I am kind of personally of the opinion that he sent the CIA people to spy just honestly in hopes of being shot down so they have an excuse to go after them. So if he's going to talk about people being expendable and assets, I don't think there's really an end to who he's doing that to. But at the same time, he might have known those people. He might have taken it personally that, you know, he says, my men were in that chopper when it got hit. I just love his emotion there.
My men were in that chopper when it got hit.
Well, and you mentioned that you listened to some more John McTiernan commentary, that this was one of the main scenes that McTiernan had in mind when he brought Carl Weathers onto the project, correct?
Yeah, he says that this scene was why Carl was brought on, that Arnold never really had a face-to-face intense scene like this in a movie, and that Carl was able to really elevate Arnold's acting. You can see that here when they're yelling at each other in each other's faces. That's what's going on. That's our focus as a viewer, and I don't feel like we're taken out at all by that. I don't feel like either one of these performances is letting us down as how intense this moment is.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done this? Have you guys ever yelled in someone's face or been yelled at or exchanged yell and like this? It's some intense stuff. I'm not saying like beefcake throwing around and stuff like that, but I mean, have you ever yelled in someone's face like this?
Oh man, I don't know if I've ever had. I'm a pretty passive person by nature.
Yeah.
I tend to avoid conflict.
I try not to get involved since I'm not a physically imposing person, so
right.
I try to avoid those kind of situations.
Sure. So you just yell at the little ones.
Yeah. You know, now that you say that, John, I guess as teachers, there have probably been times where we've been close to getting in a kid's face.
Yeah.
But you know, that's pretty unprofessional to unload like that in a kid's face. Although I've wanted to.
Yeah, definitely want to. You have to bring it down to like this quiet intensity of,
oh yeah,
do you know what you're doing? Do you know why that was wrong? But you can't lose your cool. You have to be cool. Like we see Arnold, how he cools down in the next minute here, while Dillon is still a little bit worked up.
Well, being a teacher is kind of like being dropped into a meat grinder.
So you cooked up a story and dropped the 6 of us in a meat grinder.
Definitely. It's just chock full of great lines. So we were talking about the dirty work a little bit, but let's jump into what Dillon's saying. He's saying we stopped a major invasion in 3 days. They would have been across the border with this stuff. So he's referring to all the weaponry, which is why I was kind of leaning to the theory that he's just wanted to be there to snuff out this rebel camp. It wasn't about any kind of paperwork or recipes or first chapter of a novel. It was all about just the bodies and stacking them up.
Just bodies.
He says, my orders were to get somebody in who could crack these bastards.
Crack these bastards.
Yeah, so you learned right there that it's really about the body count. It's about eliminating the threat.
I don't and from the looks of it, I think if Hopper and his men, his team of Green Berets, were to have made it to the camp instead of being stopped along the way and killed by the Predator, that they probably would not have any problem taking care of this camp by the looks of what we saw in the last few minutes.
Right.
These guys just end up firing the wrong way. They enter into doors without looking like at the gunfire source. They're just meat.
Just bodies.
I mean, what's the only casualty on our hero's side is the little scrape that Blaine gets, right? Where he ain't got time to bleed.
I ain't got time to bleed.
That's about it.
He don't even have time to mind that. So it's like, exactly, like that's the most. And one of the minutes I was talking from the field manual for the jungle operations, it was like listing all these things in this real army document about all the dangers you could face in the jungle. And Dutch's team never catches wind of any of that. They're never stung by bees or like chomped on by piranhas or even catching, some poison ivy. No, they're just invulnerable to everything, including bullets, apparently. Thanks, Blaine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of I'm sorry. Did you have more you wanted to add about this conversation here? We kind of get cut off in the middle of it. And as we're going to see in the next minute, we get a little more information. I got some definite questions about the rest of their conversation in the next minute. But I feel like this is a shorter minute to analyze simply because it's mostly one scene.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this before, but we're right in the territory of ending the first act and beginning the second act. To me, I feel like the first act ended when Arnold popped Anna in the face with the butt of his gun, knocked her down, and all the killing really stopped.
No more Contra music for a little while.
Yeah, no more Contra music. The kill count's going to stay pretty steady. By the way, Jeff, last minute we're talking with Scott, and I left off 3, or not 3. I totally miscounted. I had like the wrong document copied over. So I was saying,
oh, really?
I think I was saying they're somewhere in the 70s. No, like we're actually in the 90s. We're at 91 so
Woo!
far. We have
Wow.
8
All right.
8 dead good guys. That's the 2 pilots, the hostage, the 4 Green Berets that were strung up, the second hostage found by Mac. Thank you. And then we have 83 dead bad guys, and I'm not going to go through all those. There's a whole variety of people. Yeah.
Wow, 91, dude. We are going to get close to triple digits, but
yeah.
I don't think we'll break it because there's not that many people in the crew to die.
I know. I was thinking we have to start counting like maybe the hog that Mac
Mac kills.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, we're gonna. Oh, and the scorpion here in the next couple minutes.
That's right. The scorpion. Yeah.
You just have to take them where you can. I did want to say real quick. So Eric on the Facebook message group on on Predator Minute listeners Palapa.
Palapa.
The Palapa.
Target's the center of the Palapa.
Yeah, target the center of the Palapa. You had mentioned you had been listening to the last published minute with Zach, my brother, talking about how the guy who is stuck by the knife, when he says "stick around," looks like a brown-faced Dave Barry.
Stick around.
And I think I was posting the pictures, and then I was realizing, holy cow! When he sticks Dave Barry with the knife in the background, I never noticed this, but there's kind of a torn sticker, like a packaging sticker, maybe stuck to the wall. I don't know what it's meant to be, but behind the stick around Dave Barry, you see the words Victoria, and then if you keep reading, if you were to rotate this 90 degrees to the left, you'd see Victoria at the top, and then you'd see what looks to me very strongly like it says Valverde, kind of half torn off. And the big controversy amongst fans of this movie is that they never say the word Valverde as the name of the country in this movie, so you can't take Valverde as canon for where this takes place, even though they'll mention it in Predator 2. And I think Gary Busey says it. But
yeah, he does.
I totally think that they're writing Valverde, and maybe they wrote it out of the last minute kind of script writing. But I think it's right there. I don't know if you saw that same freeze frame. It's just kind of,
I did.
I know it's going back a couple minutes. I know it's kind of retro, changing something. But it's something I remember talking about with Aaron way back when, like minute 5 and 6, about, they're looking at the map, but we don't know where it is. But I don't know. I feel comfortable calling this Valverde now. So take that.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see it, and it's only like halfway there. Like it's part of it's missing. But if you know that the country might be Valverde, you can put together pretty easily that probably says Valverde. Yeah. So I think you may have just solved an internet mystery, John.
All right.
Crack these bastards.
I'm on your side, John.
All right.
Nerds, arguing nerds around the world can stop.
Peace has been declared.
Put down your mechanical keyboards and your Mountain Dew and stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Hey, look, a little discovery from Predator Minute Podcast. You're welcome, universe.
Yep. And I have some script differences here, but again, just like the Jungle Manual, I'm going to save that for the next minute, because it's really where the conversation ends, where you can you can see the bigger picture they're laying out with the script differences.
Okay. Should we get into recommends and whatnot here?
Well, I think so. But Eric, did you have anything else to say about our first half of the conversation?
I had just 2 really quick things left.
I
like
it away.
When Arnold does the shove, I love the music note that plays as he does it.
You sales. It's all bullshit. All of it.
It's a nice dramatic beat there that fits perfectly with the moment. And then from the conversation, I always found it interesting that when he says the line about dropping us in the meat grinder, that he has almost like a half grin on his face.
So he cooked up a story and dropped the 6 of us in a meat grinder.
Like it's just sort of like, kind of disbelief, accepting disbelief. Like you just grin when you're just like, oh crap, and like there's just nothing else you can do about it. I always found it interesting, the facial expression he has there at that point.
Yeah.
He does. Yeah, you're right. I'm watching it again as you talk about that, and it's sort of a smirk, kind of like I've got you figured out.
Yeah, like I'm better than you. Like, yeah, you're a real piece of filth right now in my eyes. Like I'm way higher than you right now. Just
Yeah.
And once again, it shows us, I think, that Arnold is a little bit of an underrated actor.
Yes.
Like, he's an action movie star, and he's great at that, but I don't think people give him enough credit for all of the nonverbal acting that he has to do as part of his job, and he nails it most of the time.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. All right. So, Eric, did you have anything else to add?
No, not for this minute.
And John, did you want to cover anything else? Really, this carries over into the next minute because the conversation keeps going.
Yeah, I just like seeing all the little knickknacks in the Palapa. Having watched this minute over and over and over again, you're seeing all sorts of, I don't know, what looks to be spices on this shelf. And there's like a can of lighter fluid that somehow survived the jungle outburst brought on by the jungle team here. Yeah, you have all sorts of little boxes, and what looks like next to Anna, you have the ammo crates, the little metal handled ammo crates. You also have some really good continuity with Anna still lying right there next to where the door fell, because she fell towards the door since she was coming from that open door behind Dutch when he smack.
Yeah, no, the continuity is really good, and I do like just the little set design in this Palapa. It's pretty good. This Palapa doesn't seem to have taken much damage besides the door and the hole in the back of the wall.
Just bodies.
I'm surprised nothing's on fire.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure something is, because you see smoke behind Dutch in the beginning when he's mean mugging. Yeah, something's on. They're out fire, but there's no concern for fire.
It's outside. It's outside.
Who's going to be in danger at this point? Really?
Yeah.
I have to tell you guys, as a loyal listener of the show, that the frequent use of the word Palapa. There's one of my favorite restaurants in New York City. I don't think it's there anymore. It's called La Palapa Racola. It's a really good Mexican food.
Ooh,
nice.
And so every time you say Palapa, it makes me hungry.
It does, yeah. It and just the name itself, Palapa, almost sounds like something you'd order. Like, I'll have like a couple of the Palapas with a couple Conchitos, a little side order.
Yeah, a little side order of Mac.
And Bunchitos.
Eric, are you in the New York area, New York City area?
Yeah, I live in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
Sweet.
Cool. Wow. We are on the exact opposite side of the country.
I know. And in fact, this might really bore your listeners, but I have to ask, because of some audio clips you've played in the past, and based on the state you live in, I am an enormous Seahawks fan.
Oh.
And I'm wondering if you guys are as well, if I've picked that up.
I'm casual, but Jeff is like die hard.
It's a masterpiece.
All right.
I'm a very big Seahawks fan. What? How have you found yourself a Seahawks fan in Brooklyn?
I grew up in the New York City suburbs, and in the mid '80s, when I first got into football, I just, for whatever reason, I wasn't into the New York teams, and I wanted to kind of choose my own team, and I wanted a team I could have all to myself here in New York. And, I was like, oh, look at these! I got these cool guys like Dave Craig and Steve Largent.
Yeah, Steve Largent.
Let's root for them. And here I am, 35 years later, still rooting for him.
Yeah.
And you survived the 90s?
I survived the 90s as a New Yorker rooting for a team that couldn't win a game.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm a big Seahawks fan. You'll have to come back on. I'm sure we'll still be recording in football season. You have to come back on, and we can talk some football for sure.
There you go.
Awesome.
That is so awesome. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, this is the part of the show where we talk weekly recommends, just whatever you've been watching or reading or wearing or who knows what. I'll just leave it there for right now. But Eric, you're the guest. Do you have any cool things to recommend for our listeners?
I will recommend, I hope no one has recommended this yet, but the show Black Mirror on Netflix. It is one of my favorite shows. If you like shows that really screw with your mind and really make you think and twist endings and go, what the hell did I just watch? It's a fascinating show. Season 5 is coming out at some point this year.
Yes.
It's involves technology and the future and how humanity will deal with technology in the future. It's an anthology show, and I absolutely love it. So I recommend this show to anyone that I can.
It's so good. Did you watch Bandersnatch?
I did watch Bandersnatch, yes, and I sat there and kept notes so I can make sure I watched every single possible outcome.
It's a classic. Yes.
Yes,
as a true nerd, I looked up like the flow chart of options online. And,
I did that after I watched to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Right. I did the same thing. Did you watch that too, John?
I watched the first, not the first. I watched 2 of the endings, and I thought, well, I'm probably not gonna have time to go through the whole thing again. So I just looked up the other endings, and I was pretty surprised by how they ended it in different fashions. I thought that was really, really clever. I can't wait to see how Black Mirror or Netflix tries that again. I really want to.
I know, it's a fun concept. I want more of it. Like, it was every time a choice came up, kind of made the hair on the back of your neck stick up, and you're like, what do I do? What do I do? You know, it added a little level of suspense that I didn't quite expect. It was fun.
Yeah. So Jeff, you have a recommend for us?
Sure, I'll stick with Netflix right now. I've been watching a show called. Oh wait,
that's mine.
Am I about to recommend a show that you already recommended, John?
I'm okay with that. Go ahead.
Oh shit. Okay. On your recommend, John, I started watching Russian Doll, and it's really good. And I'll just stop right there because you already recommended it. Oops. Oh man. Well, all 15 of our listeners will be disappointed in me.
That's awesome.
Shoot, no, that's what I had written down. Go ahead, John. John, why don't you go, and if I maybe I can think of something else to add.
But I'm going to recommend a short little read. The Hollywood Reporter recently updated a story they had put out a couple of years ago on why Jean-Claude Van Damme was replaced in the movie Predator as the monster. There's this whole oral history behind, or there's this whole report that the Hollywood Reporter wrote called The Oral History of Predator. And this is one of the main features, was why Jean-Claude was replaced as the monster, as Predator, as anytime. And yeah, it's a good article. And the original, I highly recommend reading the original. It doesn't take too long. It's fun because it takes into account all these different points of view. And when it comes to Jean-Claude Van Damme, everybody has a different story for why he was replaced, including, of course, Jean-Claude Van Damme. And just a few days ago, and I received this via text from some people, and it popped up in my newsfeed. But just a few days ago, Hollywood Reporter updated their story by interviewing Jean-Claude Van Damme, and they asked him that very same question, and he had his own little nuggets of wisdom to add in there. Part of the beautiful thing I think about this is that you can watch the video of his interview, and Jean-Claude Van Damme, if nothing else, he's highly entertaining to listen to for whatever reason. He has that charisma, but he's also just super sure of himself, and he knows the score all the time. He's kind of always strategizing in my head, at least in my opinion. So I would say give that a read/watch. It's fun to hear about his separate, totally different take on why he was not the monster. Yeah, that's Hollywood Reporter. You can just find it under things tagged with the word Predator.
Yeah, that was a great article, because I have been wondering. We've talked about that previously, and I've always wondered kind of what the full story is. It's kind of cool to get his perspective of it. It sounds like there were a lot of reasons, and we'll probably talk about this more later when we get to more Predator action in the movie. But it sounds like there were a lot of different factors that went into him leaving the project. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I posted it. This is going to be the part where we talk plugs here. I posted the report as soon as it popped up. I posted it to our Facebook page, the Predator Minute Listeners Palapa. It's a closed group, but just ask to join. I'll let you in. It gives us a place where we can talk about the podcast, the Predator universe, weekly recommends, sound drops, crazy stunts, and Mac. So drop on in and let us know what you're recommending or your thoughts on Predator. But Eric, you're the guest. Where can we find you?
So for Escape from New York, we are already on social media, even though the episodes haven't posted yet. So you can get in early and on Facebook. It's Brains Library, the Escape from New York Minute Hangout. And we're already on Twitter, NY Minute Pod. If you want to go back and binge Flash Gordon Minute, it's still out there. Even though we're done recording, it'll live out there forever. So go listen to that. You can get these podcasts anywhere you get your podcasts, and I still monitor the Flash Gordon Facebook page. That's the Flash Gordon Minute Listeners Vortex. And check out either one of those shows.
Awesome. Did you say Brands Library?
Brains
Library. I was doing the same thing as Jeff. I was trying to search it right now. There it is. 14 members. Let's make it 15.
Woo!
Mm-hmm, yeah, I'll have to jump in there for sure. And your that podcast has its own Twitter handle as well, you said?
Yeah, NY Minute Pod.
Got it. Okay. I will get on that.
Cool. And
for
speaking
sure.
of Twitter handles, Jeff, what is your Twitter handle?
My name is College Bin Expert.
Ooh. Oh, what is my Twitter handle? You can find me at capital K Carl _ capital H Hungus. I'm just constantly on there denying followers as I get flooded.
We're full. Go away. Go home.
Not really. We're full. Yeah. Find me on there. I'll be tweeting about the Seahawks sometimes. Various movies I'm watching and live tweeting, and I'll be a little active this upcoming weekend for F This Movie Fest, which I posted about or talked about last week.
Well, looking forward to that. What's the hashtag for? Is it just Twitter Movie Fest?
It's hashtag F This Movie Fest.
Okay, so be looking for the hashtags there this weekend. Oh, when we say this weekend, it's March 9th.
Yes.
When does it start? I forget. It's like Chicago time, 8:30 or something like that.
Yeah. Is this episode going to drop before this weekend? You might have to.
Have to
cut all this out.
Oh no! So if you're living in the past somehow,
I just realized that we may have jumped the gun there.
I was going to say something. Yeah. I was going to say something, but I was like, I'm a guest. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, we appreciate the politeness. Thank you.
That's funny. That's funny. We're not used to being ahead of the game, though, John. Usually we record and then it comes out this upcoming.
Oh yeah,
weekend.
usually we're at that event horizon of hey, we recorded this week and I'm editing tonight.
Right.
In 3 hours, but yeah, that's what they pay us for, so that's why we're so good. Okay.
You guys get paid?
No, are you kidding? Naturally, that's good.
I get paid in Twitter followers. Yeah. What?
For Predator Minute, I've been John Zabriskie.
And I'm Jeff Glover.
And I'm Eric Deutsch.
And until next time,
stick around.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Knock, knock.
Knock, knock.
I don't exercise.
I don't exercise. No, it's a masterpiece.
I eat dog food.
I like eating dog food.
That was my favorite addition.